This episode of the Media Leader podcast was edited by our production partner, Trisonic. And if you're looking for podcast production support, we highly recommend them. Find them at trisonic.co.uk.
How do you stand out is where comes the value, and that is going to happen through trust, through like putting that creative input, that judgment, and everything that makes us human.
Welcome to the Media Leader podcast. I'm Jack Benjamin. Meta is growing at a remarkable rate. Already one of the world's biggest global advertising businesses, the tech giant's revenue grew 33% year-on-year to $56.3 billion in Q1 alone. But while its dominance over the ad industry has crystallized, so has scrutiny into its business practices and advertisers' role in funding online harms through its platforms. Separate court cases in the U.S. this year found that Meta has designed harmfully addictive platforms and that it has misled users about platform safety and facilitated child sexual exploitation. A report from Reuters last November found that Meta knowingly earned 10% of its global turnover in 2024 from fraud and scam ads. At the LEAD conference in London this year, a spokesperson for Meta disputed the figure, but acknowledged that revenue from fraud and scam ads might have accounted for 3 to 4% of turnover, still equivalent to between $5 billion and $7 billion. And now there are concerns over the privacy implications of its line of smart glasses, which the company has positioned as the future of consumer electronics. Wired reported in June that Meta had quietly added facial recognition code into the product before removing it after the publication of the reporting. All this comes as Meta has increasingly launched tools aimed at automating creative and media decisioning for advertisers, calling into question the role of agencies in a future dominated by tech platforms, their data, and their AI tools. It's a lot to discuss, and so I was delighted to sit down with Meta's EMEA Vice President, Derya Matras, at Cannes this year. I posed questions related to all of these topics and more. This is our conversation. I hope you enjoy.
Derya Matras, thanks so much for chatting with me. We're here in Cannes. How's it been so far?
It was a great week, great momentum, a lot of energy despite the heat wave. We survived, but the conversations have been very energizing.
What have you sort of taken away from the past couple of days? Big themes. I'm sure you've been stuck in with lots of clients.
Yes. I think two big themes that are coming, actually maybe three, are definitely the agentic economy, and it's an exciting moment to transition into that. The second big theme is creators and how important they have become, particularly for brands to create trust and authenticity and be relevant locally, culturally. So that is big top of mind for everyone. And creative, and how actually the Gen AI creatives have now passed the threshold and really enabling advertisers to do great things and have better campaign performance. So I think like those are the three big themes that I'm hearing in and out of many meetings with executives from different industries, which is very exciting.
Gotcha. I'll ask lots of questions about AI shortly. I was at a press conference earlier this week, but there's been quite a few news items that I wanted to run past you. Just ahead of Cannes in the UK, there was, of course, the social media ban that was announced for under 16s. Meta platforms, of course, included, with the exception of WhatsApp. Of course, we'll see what actually happens in terms of that legislation. I'm just curious, what was your personal initial reaction when you learned about that? And there's obviously been other sort of under 16 bans that have been passed in other countries as well, in other markets.
So first of all, we are watching those developments very closely, and we are taking this topic incredibly seriously. And for this reason, for a few years now, we've been launching, more than 50 different, tools to protect the teens on our platforms. And we launched teen accounts on Instagram, which, my kids are using as well. Like I have 3 teens at home, and it's a brilliant tool. I can see, who they are talking to and who are their friends, how much time they use, which type of topics they follow, etc. So I feel personally more confident as a mom to see them, okay, I know what they're doing and they're in a more protected environment. So coming to the ban, your question, we have seen this happening in other countries like Australia. Teens are finding ways to get back in. They're using VPNs and they're, playing with their age. And then what happens is that they end up in platforms that are less safe for them. So being on a platform where there's an automatic age detection, serves the content. For example, in teen accounts, we have PG-13 settings for content, so they cannot see adult content or content that's relevant to adults. So it's all gated in both in terms of how much time they use and who they can connect with, who can follow them, but also the content itself. So being on a platform as such, or bringing a ban where teens might end up in less protected places and finding ways around it, is a scarier scenario. So obviously we are going to comply with any laws and regulations in any country. At the same time, I really do hope that the implementation of the law is going to be secure enough to protect our teens even further, because we wouldn't want them to be end up in less safe places.
You mentioned Instagram teen accounts. They've been found by the Molly Rose Foundation, which is a mental health charity here in the UK, as to be practically ineffective. They found that less than 1 in 5 are fully functional, that some of the features didn't actually exist, and this was a former Meta employee that had conducted that research. So what's going on? Are they not actually working?
In terms of the adoption, first of all, it's widely used across the teens, and if the teens are under 16, they either switch directly to teen accounts, and if they don't do it, we use a variety of technologies to put them there. So then their accounts are automatically private accounts. So first of all, that's a very important function, because then it stops them from being followed by people who might be bad actors, etc. So that's one of the features that is very important. The second feature that works is how much time the teens use the platform. So it comes for 15 minutes automatically, and then it's up to the parents to set if it's half an hour or 45 minutes, etc. And then the other feature that I find very helpful is who they are following and who's following them. So, for example, when I go to the list, if I see someone that they have like 30, 40 common friends, I feel more confident that, okay, it's potentially a school group, etc. But if it's someone that they have no common friends, then I'm a bit more alarmed to see, at least I can ask the question, who is this person, etc. And the other thing is like who they are messaging with, and whether, like, what type of content they are following. So these are very helpful insights for parents to protect their teens and have conversations around their experiences in social media as well. So I don't know what what they are specifically talking about, which features are not working, but at least like the ones that we have rolled out have gotten very positive feedback, both from the teens and their parent communities as well. Okay,
they dispute that.
The other one that is very helpful is the fact that you can reach it in 2 clicks once you go to your Instagram account, so it's very easy to use.
On sort of the similar topic, earlier this year, Meta was found in separate court cases in the US to have been designed to have been harmfully addictive, and also then in a separate court case to have misled users about platform safety and facilitating child sexual exploitation. From an advertiser perspective, why should advertisers feel comfortable being on a platform that has been subject to some of those court case decisions?
So first of all, it is an ongoing litigation, so I won't be able to comment on the details of that.
These appeals.
These appeals, exactly.
Right, okay.
And it is, we are doing a number of things to protect the teens on our platform, such as like protecting the teens from being followed by different actors, and making sure that they see the appropriate content, like PG-13 settings, for example. And we have run many studies to see what is affecting, teen mental health and what is the role of social media in that. And what these independent studies show is that teens' mental health issues are affected by a wide variety of factors. It's the academic pressure that they're in, their family situation, and their like social dynamics and what they watch as well. So we are trying to do our best in terms of controlling that part and launching all the tools that I talked about. But teen mental health is a much more complex topic than just to be attributed to social media.
Are there some?
At least like that's what the studies are showing.
Are there some still things about the design of platforms, whether they're meta platforms or other sort of social media platforms or short-form video platforms, that are harmful in terms of infinite scroll or sort of keeping people on platforms, or algorithmic decisioning that the users maybe have less control over, so they might see a lot of content that might be harmful for them, even though the platform still believes that's what they want to be viewing more of?
So first of all, we have the time limits for the teens, and as I mentioned, like it's already set in like 15 minutes, and it's up to the parents to increase the time limit, like how much they can use the platform.
It's not just teens, though. I mean, anyone that using the platform, parents or adults might have the same issue.
So it's, I can definitely say that for the teens, so both in terms of content and in terms of like how much time they are using, it's, we are bringing the tools to protect them. And in terms of the harmful things, for example, if they're asking, too many questions about, body image issues or self-harm, etc., it has been flagged to their parents if they're using like parental supervision tools, etc. So on that part, definitely we are taking this extremely seriously and doing the best in the industry.
When I talk to advertisers and agencies as well, what they often say is they would love to have more transparency into where their ads show up on the platform, just having an understanding of what the context in which the ads are. Would you commit to offering more transparency to advertisers to see
definitely.
that information?
Yes, I mean, we have like brand safety and suitability tools that bring the advertisers controls about like where they want their ads to be placed, which type of content that or topics that they want their ads to be placed. And we have those tools that give them the control for the ad placement.
I think when I talk to them, they want more granular, understanding of this was served next to that. Do you think that you're meeting those requirements?
I mean, we are working with the largest advertisers globally. For example, in Cannes, like we have, big roundtables, councils. We're working very closely with the trade bodies and industry bodies as well. And we regularly get feedback about each of the topics that you're talking about, especially like brand safety suitability tools is a big topic. And we come up with a variety of tools and controls. And it's been evolving over the years to satisfy their concerns. I mean, this week I had, more than tens of meetings with these partners, and this topic doesn't even come once.
Okay, interesting. Yes. That's interesting.
Yes.
So, another topic that I know has been raised within the advertising community in the UK and elsewhere. Last December, I believe, November, Reuters reported that Meta earned 10% of its annual turnover in 2024 from fraud or scam ads. I know in the UK, someone from Meta came on stage at the LEAD conference and disputed that, said the number was actually 3 to 4%. Regardless, it's billions of dollars. Why would Meta knowingly take money from fraud or scam ads?
So first of all, this is it is a very important topic that we are investing significant amount of resources to fight. So far, we invested more than $30 billion into fighting fraud and scams and other integrity issues. And it is an industry-wide issue. there are bad actors trying, in the same way that in the world, like there are bad actors trying to scam people, like it's also in the online world as well. And what we are doing is, first of all, we have, employ like AI systems to catch like fraudulent advertising, scams, and we have human reviewers, and we are taking down those ads, and also employing more advanced technologies. We are taking down the scam networks all at once. What has been very helpful in this journey has been the collaboration with the industry partners, and also private companies like banks, for example. We launched this initiative, FIRE initiative, first in the UK, and then we expanded to other European countries and around the world as well. It's Fraud Information Reciprocal Exchange Initiative, where we work as a partner group, like flagging bad actors so that we can take down more fraudulent advertising and not advertising, also organic content as well. But it is an industry-wide issue. In some countries like Thailand, for example, we collaborate with the governments, with the law enforcement, and with other industry associations to fight the fraudulent actors.
So you're essentially working on it to try and improve from the 2024 figure that Meta was aware because it was reporting on internal documents and then also coming on stage and acknowledging the problem.
So the thing is, so when something is obviously scammy advertising, our systems, most advanced AI systems can take it down very quickly. And when something is, benign and it's a good advertising, it's also good, like we allow it in the platform. And then, when everything like comes together, there's like a gray area that where systems and human reviewers struggle catching, and then we have to, sometimes there is reporting, and then we have to review it, and then we catch it, etc. So it's not like we knowingly, have bad ads. It's not good for us. I mean, if it's not good for us, it's not good for our
I was going to ask
community.
How advertisers would
Exactly. I mean, so we are actually incentivized to take action on this. So that's why like we employ our best resources, engineers, a lot of AI investment in order to make sure that we are taking these down. And so far, I mean, I've been personally involved in many of these cross-functional work myself, and we've had impressive progress on this.
So Meta's making a big AI push, and I do want to talk about that. There were announcements here at Cannes. One of the most notable ones was creating an end-to-end creative solution that is automated. I remember, I think it was last year, Mark Zuckerberg quite notably said that advertisers will soon be able to automate all creative and media decisions in the near future through Meta and through other technology. We're at the Festival of Creativity. There's lots of agencies around us, agency partners. WPP is one of the initial partners for that end-to-end solution that I just mentioned. But should agencies be concerned that you're essentially helping to do the job that they had previously done?
Absolutely not. They shouldn't be. Actually, they should be excited about this. I mean, if you go a couple of decades ago and compare the tools and the technology that was available in the marketing advertising industry, we are in a very different state right now, and technology has evolved, but the role of agencies have become even more important. I mean, you see, great investments in technology, and they are also evolving and always staying ahead of the industry. So I think this is, I'm seeing that, for example, like we are a tech company, and as Meta, we use agencies for our marketing ourselves. So there's a reason for that. Going back to your point on Mark's comments last year, was about the role of AI and how it's increasing the campaign performance, and obviously you give more degree of freedom to AI to do the job. It is creating better performance, and it is easier to do for a small business. So instead of trying to choose to show this creative to this audience at this time, and doing all of that manually, having a single button solution and AI doing the job is great for small businesses. But it's never easy for a large global corporate operating in tens of countries in all different agencies to have that single button solution, and that's where the agencies come in. And the tools that we are building is also making their operations easier, so they can really focus on where is really value creating. And so one of the announcements that we did this week, which is first in the industry, is the creative workspace, where we have the media teams and the creative teams coming together in one platform. So one of the challenges in the marketing industry is that you have your brand teams in one place, performance teams and creative teams, and it's all working in silos. Actually, what we are trying to do as a business, like supporting businesses, is a full funnel thing, because you're trying to build a brand so that people are interested and they buy their products and then they come back. In that full funnel, that siloed approach never worked. But what we are doing right now is bringing the performance team and the creative team in one platform, so you can see all the active assets and which ones are working, which ones are not working momentarily, and then that's informing the system to recommend even more creatives based on the performing assets. How you can support that further is what we announced is brand memory. So you can take the assets that represent your brand better than others, and you can also feed it to the system to say, okay, I want to take what is working in my active assets and campaigns, and I want to even support it further with my brand memory, so then the recommended new assets is creating a flywheel. So that is, I'm really excited to see the feedback from the advertisers that play with this, because this is really going to be industry defining. And in order to support that, we announced new set of tools such as, for example, voiceover, like language translations and text variations, etc. And the Gen AI creative tools, like what we have really passed the threshold with these Gen AI creative tools to protect the brand identity at the same time, create effective creatives at scale.
How do you make sure it's not just great optimization and also bringing in the big idea? Because I think the concern a lot of people at agencies as well have is without a strong human element, you might end up making a bit more of the same, taking older assets, refining them, as opposed to coming up with something entirely new. Is there a concern that these tools undermine that process?
I love this question, because the answer is exactly the opposite. You know why? Imagine like one person has a very analytical brain and one person has a very creative brain, and you give them the same AI tools. They train the same model, they use the same model. Their model is going to evolve in a few months into a very different version of themselves, okay? So when you give creative brains the most powerful tools, and imagine the richness, the amount of insights they can tap into, it is going to inform their models in a way that is very different than anybody else's. So actually, what these models are doing is really separating the tasks from human value. Like, humans were never intended to do the tasks. We don't want to waste our time doing like manual tasks. We want to always tap into what makes us humans, that empathy and judgment and creativity. And I believe that the tools that we are developing is doing exactly the opposite and empowering the creative brains to do even more creative and distinguish themselves. And we are living in an era of abundance, right? Producing, as you said, producing anything average is just at the cost of zero. Anybody can produce an average content, average creative, average, and it's an abundance of ideas and products, etc. How do you stand out is where comes the value, and that is going to happen through trust, through like putting that creative input, that judgment, and everything that makes us human.
Within Meta itself, I know that there were some recent staff cuts, I think it was around 10%. And there's been some reporting about how staff at Meta are feeling about using AI tools for their own work as well. Within the company, how would you sort of describe how the working processes have changed and how staff are responding?
We have very ambitious, goals for the future. We have a lot of responsibility, and we are building some of the most cutting-edge frontier models in the world. 3.5 billion people using our platforms. Just in terms of the economic value we're creating, like each dollar spent on what we are doing on our platform is creating 4.17 euros back, which means just for Europe, it means like 168 billion of economic activity that dependent on our platforms. So this is a big responsibility, and we have to keep on investing on our infrastructure, and that requires some hard decisions. So, these people that have been impacted in the layoffs have done a lot for this company, and our heart goes to them. It's not easy. It's never easy. We're working through this. But when you put that big picture on what we are working towards and really driving the future of this, industry, and, also be able to give the best tools to everyone, right? Like millions of small businesses that depend on our platforms, then you put it in context. And I'm very excited about, our ambitions. At the same time, like it sometimes comes with very hard decisions.
Sure. I know Meta AI is a really interesting new consumer product. Have you thought about monetizing that through advertising or long-term vision? Is that?
So Meta AI. So we just launched our Muse Spark, our new model, and it's very exciting because it's the first model launched by our new Meta Superintelligence Labs. And why it's very unique is that it's the first model that is natively trained in multimodal input. And what means is that, if you have an LLM that is, trained on text, and you're trying to train it on like other multimodal inputs, it doesn't as effectively as training with, multimodal from a ground up, and taking all the, image and movement and, video and text inputs together and make more meaning of, the world around us. And why this is special is that it's powering Meta AI, and which is also embedded in our wearables, in our glasses, and it's going to create great experiences to support people in their day-to-day life. So I'm really excited about this.
I want to ask about the wearables. We happen to be sitting in a hotel room here at the Majestic with quite a few wearables within my side of view. I don't own them personally, but there's a number of different models, obviously. It's an expanded line. I remember I saw you at Advertising Week Europe 2 years ago. I was in the way back. I couldn't get a good seat, but you talked about how smart glasses are your vision, Meta's vision of the future. Do you still believe that? Because it's been 2 years and we aren't there yet, but we're certainly there's been some progress, and I can see it right in front of me.
So we've seen great success with our glasses. Our sales tripled since last year. And that's why we are focusing on this wearables and glasses area even more. And it's an exciting vision. We do believe that the next form factor of how people connect with their friends and with the world around them is going to evolve from phones to glasses at some point. Because if you think about it, they're on your face every day. They can see what you see. They can hear what you hear. And putting such a powerful AI technology in them, you can interact with them, day in, day out, very seamlessly, not having to drop what you do and, look at a small phone screen. So I do believe that we have a very bright future in that space.
A lot of the concerns that I hear from, especially more on the consumer end, is facial recognition technology. Wired reported that Meta added code recently, and then after the report came out, that code was then removed. There's concerns around privacy, data privacy, spyware. How do you think about those concerns? When you bring a new technology into the world, and I would hope that you would want to be responsible with how people are using it.
Absolutely, and we are thinking about those. Obviously, building the product. First of all, privacy review is embedded into each product we build in the company. So if you don't pass the privacy review, you don't even start building the products. And so it is, worrying about those potential risks is like embedded in the product development cycle. And to your question, for glasses particularly, we have this like LED light, for example. If the camera is active, like everyone sees that the camera is active because there's a LED light, it's quite bright.
Some people have been able to disable that. Yeah. There have been people that
we also thought about that. Okay. We also thought about that because we said maybe bad actors might just cover it with a band, and then what do we do? So then it stops recording. The moment you cover it, it's...
but some people have hacked the device itself.
I mean, we are thinking about all possible risks, and because we want these tools to be successful, widely used. So if I'm taking pictures of my kids with my glasses, I want to make sure that it's private, and that's why we are bringing all sorts of protections into like how they are going to be used, and any potential risks that we see, we will also work on addressing them as well.
Last topic area, Meta's business has grown tremendously over the past several years. I mean, every quarter I'm actually stunned personally to see such large double-digit growth for such a large company. Almost all of it is advertising revenue. Mm-hmm. How do you continue to grow at that rate? Is it going further into the long tail? Is it getting more out of larger advertisers? What's the strategy for growing revenue continually? And how do you basically stave off inevitable slowdown, which I think a lot of businesses that get to a certain scale end up with?
So there are multiple factors obviously going into that success that you're talking about. It first starts with our user base, right? Because more people that are on our platform today, we have more than 3.5 billion people visiting our apps every single day, and then making sure that they have a great experience on the platform. So that's why protecting them from the things that you talked about, and offering great experiences, and really bringing them what is relevant to them. I love my Instagram feed. It's my best time of my day when I'm just scrolling, and it's just becoming more like what I'm really interested. And we are making sure that people are, having meaningful experiences, connecting with their loved ones and their interests. So I think like that is an important part of like what's driving that business success.
Can I interject really quick? Because I've used Instagram before. I was on Instagram, I think even before Meta maybe acquired it, so it was quite a long time ago. There's been a big change in that product and all products that Meta has, which is I see less content from accounts that I follow, from friends and family and other interests, and more that's recommended to me. And in fact, that was presented this year at Advertising Week Europe by one of your employees. And it's like 70% of the content shown on Meta is Meta platforms, but let's just take Instagram, is now recommended to you. Personally, I like to see friends and family. Is there a concern that there's been an over-adjustment into recommended content, especially given at the beginning of the conversation all the harms that could lead to? And is there a desire actually from some consumers to get back into this sort of social connection? Certainly other platforms on the Quasette this week have made that argument.
So, I mean, it's in different surfaces, like you have obviously different graphs. For example, when you're looking into stories, probably you're seeing more content from your friends and family. On Reels, it's more an interest-based graph, and feed is a mix. So it's really catering for all needs. That's why it's very important to cater for what you're interested and what you might want to also deep dive into your interest areas as well. So it's a mix. But just going back to the question, so the first is like really making sure that we are offering great experiences for people who are using our platform and keeping that healthy. So the second part is really the discipline that we have around building the right products that is going to power the businesses of our advertisers. Advantage Plus Suite is a good example where we have seen 25% improvement in return on ad spend when an advertiser is using Advantage Plus versus not using one of our products that is powered by AI. So I think it's been a big impact, and our product strategy is moving more and more towards outcomes and precision outcomes. So for example, if you're a business who want to optimize for your total sales, that's great. We can use value optimization for GMV. If you want to optimize for profit, we have that solution, because you might want to sell the SKUs that are more profitable for your business. Or maybe you're a gaming player and you want to actually optimize for your LTV. So we have that. So it's really catering for the needs of each advertiser and making sure that we are delivering the outcomes that they care about and bringing the discipline in our core business on how we execute against that. I think that's been really powering our business so far.
I'll be keeping a close eye on the future of the business. Derya, thanks so much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to the Media Leader Podcast. Our executive producer is me, Jack Benjamin. Special thanks to our production partner, TriSonic. You can find all our episodes on the podcast platform of your choice or on our website at uk.themedialeader.com. But do please remember to subscribe to be notified of our next episode. You can also subscribe to our newsletter at The Media Leader to receive daily coverage of all the biggest news stories in media and advertising. From all of us at The Media Leader, I'm Jack Benjamin. See you next time.